Hello everyone! So I am here with my second video in this series, which is going to be all about the translated books that I have yet to read, but that I really want to read. So I have a little pile here that I'm going to talk about first. So first, let me talk about The Investigation by J.M. Lee. This is translated from Korean, and this is about my favorite poet who I did my thesis on, Yoon Dong-ju, and he was imprisoned in Japan during World War II as he was suspected of being part of a revolutionary movement, and sadly he died in prison there. And this is it's a fictionalized version of his story, but it is based on his life, and it is about kind of a murder mystery. And it just sounds like something I really would love, and I don't know why I've been putting it off. I really need to read this. And then another Korean book is My Brilliant Life by Eran Kim. I really need to read this as well. My mom read it. She gave it 5 stars. It is about a young Korean boy growing up in an impoverished family and basically his musings on life. It sounds really interesting. I bought this in a recent bookstore shopping with me vlog, and it just sounds awesome. I've heard such great things about it. It is kind of a recent translated release, and I just think it's going to be great. And it's also really short, so I have no excuse. And then translated from Swedish is A Man Called Uva by Fredrik Backman. I have never read a Backman book before, but I think this is the one that I'm going to like the most. It is about basically a grumpy old man. It has a cat on the cover. I'm probably gonna like it. I've heard that it's really heartwarming but also can be sad, and I know it has LGBT themes as well, which just makes me want to read it more. And I think I'm going to love this. I think if I do like Fredrik Backman, this is the one I'm going to like the most. Next book was translated from Chinese, and it is Vagabonds. I love the premise of this book. The first sentence of the synopsis describes it perfectly. A century after the Martian War of Independence, a group of kids are sent to Earth as delegates from Mars. But when they return home, they are caught between two worlds, unable to reconcile the beauty and culture of Mars with their experiences on Earth. Very interesting. Yeah, that sounds right up my alley. I've heard good things about it, but I am a little hesitant about it. I've heard that it's very dry and political, but that's usually the kind of thing that I like. So I am really looking forward to reading this. I don't know when I'm going to get the time to read such a long book, but it's really exciting. And of course, we all know the three-body problem is like a very popular Chinese translated sci-fi, so I'm really interested to read some other sci-fi translated from Chinese as well. So now I have a book translated from French. It is Of Wind and Sand. This is another sci-fi book, and it sounds super interesting. It is about an extremely hot desert planet where a race of monstrous lizards have developed a complex civilization. When an Earth colony's emergency landing becomes permanent, the colonists baptize the new planet Mars 2 and begin to create their own civilization. After several encounters, both lizards and humans demonstrate a willingness to understand each other, but all too quickly their relationships deteriorate beyond remedy, despite the best intentions of individuals from both sides. Interesting. This sounds great. Yes, sci-fi, politics, first contact, interesting race of aliens, and world building on a new planet. Just sounds like something that is so cool and also seems severely underrated, so I'd love to give this a try. Next book we have here is translated from Japanese. It is Penance, and it's by the same author as Confessions from my last video. I absolutely love Kanae Minato, and I can't wait to read this book. It is about 4 girls who, as children, were tricked into separating from one of their friends by a strange man, and then a few hours later, that friend is found murdered. And basically these four girls who are now grown women are blamed by the family of this girl, and it's a psychological thriller just like Confessions. I think it's going to be amazing. I can't, like, her writing is so good, so unique. Her voice and narrative style are so awesome, and I just think this is going to be a great read. And then we have another book translated from Chinese, which is Strange Beasts of China. I actually have a LC, not an ARC, but an advanced listening copy of this, and I should read it because it's already out. But regardless, this sounds super creative and interesting. In the fictional Chinese town of Yong'an, human beings live alongside spirits and monsters, some of which are almost indistinguishable from people. Told in the form of a bestiary, each chapter introduces us to a new creature. Interesting. The narrator is an amateur cryptozoologist on a mission to track down each breed in turn, but in the process discovers that she might not be as human as she thought. Oh, is this going to be a Blade Runner situation? Okay. I think this sounds absolutely fascinating, like, honestly, and a lot of translated books do have quite low ratings on Goodreads for whatever reason, but this one has a pretty good rating. It's like 3.86 or something, so I have high hopes for this read. So now I have a book translated from Korean. It is The Disaster Tourist. This sounds like a really interesting kind of speculative feminist tale, and it is about this woman who works for a ecotourism company named Jungle that provides vacation packages to lands devastated by basically the collapse of the climate and stuff. And it sounds really interesting. She is sent to this remote island to find out whether her company Jungle should continue its partnership with this island. And it sounds super interesting, very different from anything else I've ever read. And again, it sounds very speculative, and it is quite short. So I think this book is really promising, and I'd love to read it sometime soon. Now we have a book translated from Finnish. It is a novella called The Union of Synchronized Swimmers. Now this sounds right up my alley too. Okay, it's summer behind the Iron Curtain. 6 girls are about to swim their way to the Olympics and a new life. In an unnamed Soviet state, 6 girls meet each day to swim. At first, they play, but soon the game becomes something more. They hone their bodies relentlessly. Their skin shades into bruises. When they find themselves representing their country as synchronized swimmers in the Olympics, they seize the chance they have been waiting for to escape and begin new lives. Scattered around the globe, 6 women live in freedom, but will they ever be able to forget what they left behind? This sounds amazing. I am really, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I love Soviet history and just, oh, this sounds like something I would love. I love the idea of this so much, and I just really hope that the execution lives up to this synopsis because I think I would love it. So next, I'd like to talk about Kim Ji-young, born 1982. This book was translated from Korean, written by Cho Nam-ju, and it is a feminist book that made a lot of people in Korea angry, apparently. And it follows Kim Ji-young, a 30-something-year-old millennial everywoman who recently left her white-collar desk job in order to care for her newborn daughter full-time, as so many Korean women are expected to do. But she quickly begins to exhibit strange symptoms that alarm her husband. She impersonates the voices of other women, alive and dead, both known and unknown to her. As she plunges deeper into this psychosis, her discomfited husband sends her to a male psychiatrist. Okay, so this sounds super interesting. I know the story behind the title is that this name was like a super common name to give Korean girls at the time, and I just think this is going to be such a phenomenal read. It is very popular for a good reason, I'm sure, so this is definitely one that I need to pick up, and soon. And the last book of this video is Winter in Sokjo. This book, first of all, the cover is amazing. It is by a French-Korean author, so it's translated from French, but it is set in a Korean vacation tourist town that is situated on the border of South and North Korea, and it is about this woman who, I believe she's a receptionist in a hotel there or something like that, and she meets this French guy who is coming to travel there and basically goes on, not an adventure, but like a journey with him, I suppose, and they have an uneasy relationship. This sounds like something I would love. I am hoping to read this by the end of the year, so you may see it in my December TBR, but we'll see. Okay, so I hope you guys liked this video. I have a ton more translated books that I want to read, but I had to stop somewhere, so I will probably have a part 2 of this coming out eventually. And if you guys have any translated book recommendations, please leave them down below. I would love to hear about them and add some new books to my TBR. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!